In today's SMC Outlook, I'm sharing my exact trade plan for the DXY, the euro, the pound, the dollar versus the Canadian dollar, and also gold. So if we haven't met yet, my name is Justin Bennett, Forex trader since 2007, full-time trader since 2011. And as always, all of this is my opinion only and not financial advice. So let's get into the charts here, looking at the DXY on the daily time frame. So we have had some significant developments from these markets during the holiday season, because this low back here for the DXY, this one right here, this was the external low, the last external low on this move up. Okay, so during this rally here, you can see we had a break of structure here, so above this high, and we know this is our external low because we did take internal liquidity on the way down, which we've talked about before. So all of this right here, this was your range, and we had the break of structure. This was the external low. We had the close below this here last week. So this is significant for the US dollar because it means that this right here is a daily change of character. Now, in terms of imbalances though, let's take a look at this here because this market does have a few of them to note going into next week. So first of all, you can see where we did close last week just above this low back here, so this level. So technically the weekly is still holding above here, and that's significant because we do have a couple of things happening here with the DXY where we have a gap here. You can see, so this gap right here, we also have some imbalances up here in this area. Now in terms of an external high, okay, let's talk about that for a moment here because this is really significant. On the way down, you can notice here a few things. So these highs right here, first of all, we had a break of structure back here. So on the close below, we had a break of structure over here on the lower time frames, however, not here on the 4-hour. So right now, this is our last external high. So right now, technically, this back here is our last external high because on the 4-hour time frame, at least, we have not had a close below this low back here. Okay, so notice how we have not closed below this. Now, let's take a look here at the hourly and see if we do have something in the hourly based off of this low, and we do. Okay, so back here, you can see where this was technically on the hourly time frame, this was a break of structure. Okay, now this is important because if you'll notice back here, we had the DXY take out internal liquidity several times. So we have two factors here. One, a break of structure to the downside, and two, we took internal liquidity back here, right? So we formed internal liquidity a few times, we took it up here, and then we had a break of structure. So what that means is that on the hourly time frame, this up here is our external high. This is our current external low. So if we then take our fibs to mark out OTE, right? Optimal trade entry. So you look at this here from the high down here to the low. This is our pocket up here. So this darker green area, you can see it lines up with several FEGs. We have a daily FEG here, 4-hour FEG here, 4-hour FEG here. So there's a lot happening up here where we have imbalances for the DXY to where we could get a retest in this region. So this is going to be my focus going into next week because again, we do have imbalances up here that could be rebalanced. And we also have that OTE up here from that last external high on the hourly time frame. Okay, so this is my pocket right here I'm looking at. And as far as the trend, guys, it is alive and well, right? There's nothing here on the DXY that makes me think a bottom is in. You can see hourly break of structure here, 4-hour, not so much. Daily, however, we do have, like I said, we do have that very significant low from all the way back here in October that we did close below on the daily last week, okay? So this confirms the daily change of character. And so then this is the pocket up here that I'm looking for potential shorts against. You can see this low here on the daily. This low right here especially is the one that I'm watching going into next week, okay? So possibly some relief here from the DXY up into this region to rebalance that area. And then from there, we could get a move down here to fully close this gap right back here. Okay, so back here in early October, you can see we had the close here and then the market gapped up. Now we came close to fully closing that gap last week, but not quite. So this area down here could become a potential target. And then we also have a daily FEG back here as well that could come under pressure if this trend continues, okay? But as far as the immediate price action here, again, what I'm looking for on the 4-hour time frame is potentially a move up here to rebalance some of this area back here. Okay, so rebalance this and then potentially a trend continuation. Now, the only thing that's going to reverse this, if we look at the hourly time frame, right, knowing that this up here is our external low on the hourly because we did, again, take internal liquidity back here, and we also had that break of structure, okay? So knowing that this is our external high, if we see the market start to take out these FEGs back here in this area, okay, do this, and then start to reclaim this area and find acceptance above it, and then also take out this high. So taking out this high right back here. So if we mark this out, okay, so this high right up here at 98.75 or so, if we start to take this out and find acceptance above here, then that could potentially give us a larger bottoming signal here for the DXY within this latest trend, okay? So as long as we're below this high up here, and really when you look at the OTE, I've talked about this before in my OTE video, but really when you look at this and, you know, this pocket back here, if we see the DXY get above this upper band of the OTE in this region, then in my opinion, that would be a signal, an early warning sign that we're about to get a change of character, okay? So as long as we're below this area back here, I am bearish on the DXY. If we start to find acceptance above that, then that could start to signal maybe a larger bullish shift from the dollar. But right now, again, there is nothing here on the chart that makes me think the US dollar is bullish because we did get that daily change of character last week. Okay, so let's move on to the euro. We spent a lot of time there, but as I always do, because really if you can figure out the DXY, you can pretty much trade anything out there, especially the majors in the Forex market. Now, this market here with the euro is very similar. We did have a change of character on the daily time frame. In this case, though, it did actually occur back here, right? So we had this high right back here. This was our external high within this range. We had the break of structure down here. This was our external high. We closed above it on the daily back here. Now, we did get a little bit of a retrace into this pocket, and we talked about this before, but back here in this area, this was the area that I was watching for a potential buying opportunity against these highs, right? We had these imbalances back here on the way up, and we never fully came back here to rebalance this. Now, it doesn't mean that we have to now. This could just be an indication that this trend here is, you know, very, very strong, okay? So I'm not looking for this area back here. In fact, I think if we were to take out this low, then that could start to look more bearish for the euro. So what I'm looking for next week, because if you look at this here on the hourly, okay, so if we drop down to an hourly time frame, what you can see is that we just barely got a close above this high, okay, and it was very, very close. So off of this high over here, you can see that we had a close above this high by just a few pips. Now, that right there is a little bit difficult to tell, especially when you look at the date here. It's December 23rd, right? So you're talking a couple days before Christmas. Liquidity is getting drained from the market. So I'm hesitant to sit here and say that this is an hourly close above here and a break of structure. I don't think that it is, just because it was way too close to call. So for me, the way I'm looking at this is that technically this is internal. Okay, so really this is just a range here for the euro. However, we do have this pocket down here for the euro between 117.22 and 117.38. And that is the location. If we go to a daily time frame, you can see where we have this daily FEG back here off of this high. Okay, so this is open for business right here, this high right here, and then we have the 4-hour FEG down here in this pocket. Okay, now if we look at this on, let's say, the 4-hour time frame, what you're going to see here is that this low down here, so from the low to the high, taking our fibs, once again, this is what I do every single time. You can see that we have our OTE lining up down here in this region, okay? So this is the area down here that I'm watching for the euro, because again, we do have those FEGs in there that could be rebalanced. You have this high back here. This region back here is what I'm watching. So potential continuation from that area if we do see the pullback here from the euro next week. However, just keep in mind though, that looking at this chart too, knowing that this here for the euro, very different from the DXY, is technically internal, okay, because we haven't gotten a true, break of structure up here, at least not in my opinion, just because it was so close. And we also have the holiday season. So I'm hesitant to sit here and say that this is a break of structure. But really, if this is a range for the euro, we could technically even come back here and just dip below this low back here, fill this in over the coming weeks, and technically still be overall bullish. But for me, really, when I look at this here and compare it against the DXY, I would like to see this low hold back here if this trend is going to continue. I think if we start to take this out, it starts to look a little bit more dicey. But I think in the short term, right, if you're looking for something here on the hourly, then you're looking at this low back here, this internal low. So this one right here. And the reason this is interesting is because we did have internal liquidity build here, and then we took that out. So you can see this low back here, we didn't close below it at the end of last week. So this is the low to watch, in my opinion, going into next week. So if you're looking for a short, just my opinion, not financial advice as always, but if you are looking to short this, as a potential local top, then you're looking at a close, potentially hourly close below here. Okay, so hourly close below here, and then looking for shorts in, against an imbalance that if it does form up here, you're looking for something against the buy side imbalance up here. So in other words, you get the hourly close below here, you're looking for a short against the buy side imbalance for a move down here toward these FEGs. But for now, this level down here, this is kind of a protected low back here, internal low off of this area, because again, you can see we didn't quite close it below it. at the end of last week. But if we do get below that, I think that we could see that pullback down here into this imbalance. All right. So just kind of a sideways market here during the holiday season. Not very surprising because we do tend to get this during this time of year. So looking at the pound next, we do have, again, a daily time frame or 4-hour time frame. Sorry. This was a change of character back here. So this was our external high. This was really our last external high, in my opinion, on the way down. And the reason for that is you can see that all of this here was internal in the sense that we never really took external liquidity, right? So all of these highs on the way down, we never took internal liquidity and then formed a break of structure. So this up here was our last external high because notice how back here we had internal high form here. Okay, so internal liquidity formed. We took that internal liquidity and then we had a break of structure. So those are the two things that you need to have an external high develop in this case. So this up here was the last external high for the pound. Now, looking at this here, you can see we got the close above back here. So this was a change of character. So right now, bullish for the pound. And you can clearly see that too. I mean, obviously over the past few weeks, we have had a market making higher highs and higher lows. So for the pound, what I'm watching is off of this low right back here. So if we go to an hourly time frame, you can see that this clearly is our last external low. Okay, so during this pullback back here, you can see we had the pullback, we formed internal liquidity back here, formed it again through here, and then we took that internal liquidity, and then we had a break of structure above these highs, okay? So this right here is really our last external low here for the pound. And so from the low back here, up here to the local high, okay? So this is technically our external high for now. You can see that we do have this OTE that forms back here in this region. Now we have a daily FEG that comes in back here as well. So right around 133.95 or 94. So this is the area back here that I'm watching for the pound. Now, one thing to note though, is that over the past couple of weeks here, you can see the lows, like this low back here, technically I can make the case that, I mean, all of this to me is internal. First of all, I want to say that all of this is internal. However, you can kind of see that back here, we did have this low form. We took that low and then we had a break of structure. Okay. So I do think that this low could also be significant here for the pound, okay, structurally speaking. So off of this low back here, this low is somewhat of a protected low for the pound because, again, we did have that internal liquidity form back here. We took it and then had a break of structure. Now, with that said, though, I think that when you look at this trend, really, you can't sit here and say, or I can't sit here and say that if we were to close below here, that this trend is over. There's nothing here on the chart to make me think that. This, again, is the last low. This is the protected low back here, okay? And everything between here, in my opinion, is internal. Now, when you look at this chart as well, okay, if we go to a 4-hour time frame, what you're going to notice here is that we have this void back in this area, okay? So we had this expansion, okay, or displacement out of this range. And what you'll notice is that these candles through here were very aggressive, okay? And really not much of a pullback at all through here. In fact, no pullback on this candle. So if I'm looking at an area to potentially target and also look for buys, then it's going to be against candles like this right here. Now, I don't know if we're going to come all the way back here to the daily FEG, but I do know that candles like this here would definitely be on my radar, okay? So specifically this one right back here, just because that is a huge imbalance here for the pound. So again, if we look at this with the fibs drawn from the low down here, last external low up here to this high, you can see where our OTE is slightly below that area, okay? So really, for me, again, this is the pocket down here that I'm watching over the coming weeks. I think that very much like the euro, if we were to see this low back here, so going back to the hourly time frame, okay, so hourly here for the pound, if we were to see the market get below this low back here, okay, so get an hourly close below here, then what I would be looking for is potentially shorts against a buy-side imbalance that forms. Okay, so get an hourly close below here, and then in my opinion, potential shorts from there for that pullback as this becomes a somewhat of a topping pattern. Again, I don't think this is the topping pattern though within this overall trend. In other words, I would not be trying to call a top if we close below this low here. But I think locally speaking, if we were to get a close below here, okay, down here in this area, then that could be a local top for a pullback down here into this imbalance. Okay, and this also lines up with the DXY as well. Keep that in mind that, we talked about the DXY to start, and that right there for the pound, same thing with the euro, could line up with the DXY also pulling back into this region up here as well, okay? So let's move on here to the dollar versus the Canadian dollar. Now, this market's interesting in the sense that if you look at this on the daily, we did come back here into a very significant area for this pair because back here, we had a huge expansion out of this range, okay? So the market formed this range back here. We had expansion out of it. We came back here to test the highs, but notice how we never came back here to test these imbalances. Okay, so these candles back here represented a void in the market, and we just came back and filled that. Okay, so this is a significant area and a really moment for this chart, and really for the dollar for that matter, just because if you'll notice, we did come back here into this area, and if you look at the daily as well, and you draw your fibs from the low down here to the high, you can see where we're sitting right at the lower band of that OTE. Okay, so a significant moment here for the dollar CAD, and what I'm looking at here, obviously we have an established downtrend, right? That's first and foremost. So any kind of buys here are counter trend. Same thing with the pound, same thing with the euro. If you're looking to short those markets, then technically you are against the trend. Now with the dollar CAD, you can see that we have these imbalances up here. So this is our last external high. Again, if you look at this, we have this low right back here. So just to map this out, we have this low right back here, break of structure, and also this was our external high, because what you'll notice is that we formed internal liquidity here a few times and we took this out. Okay, so we took internal liquidity. We took out this low down here, giving us that break of structure. So this right here is our last external high. So with that as a starting point, okay, that helps us a lot, because what we can do here is we can say that from this high up here, down here to our current low, then this is going to be our OTE up here. Now, what you'll notice is that this lines up exactly with the daily FEG back here. Okay, so right here off of this low on the daily time frame, that's our daily FEG, which you'll notice right here on this candle, we came very close to it, but not quite. Okay, and in a lot of cases like this, what I've seen is we'll come up here and we'll take out this high, potentially back here into this candle a little bit, and then potentially from there we get a retracement. Now, of course, there's no guarantee of this, but I think if you're looking for shorts here, this is it. Okay, now again, you could use this as a target if we were to get a move above this internal high. Okay, so acceptance above this high right here, because technically you do have this internal structure last week where you had the low back here. We took that out. We had a break of structure. This is your internal high. So if we were to see the dollar CAD get above here and find acceptance above this high, then technically from there, you have a situation where you could get that push back here into this OTE. Because what you'll notice is that we haven't done that on the way down. And this is important for internal structure as well, because what you can see back here is that this is our external high back here. This is our current external low. And what you'll notice is that on the way down, what we did here is formed internal highs, right? Internal, internal, internal. And all of this is internal because, again, we never took this out. We never saw the market come down here, form internal liquidity, and then take that out and then give us a break of structure, okay? All of this right here is internal. But with that said, again, if we were to see the dollar CAD find acceptance above this high right back here, then that would be very different from what we've seen here within this trend. And then that could be the catalyst for pushback here into OTE. Just keep in mind though, again, if you are buying this market, you are technically counter trend here, just because obviously you look at this on the hourly, I mean, it has been very bearish over the past few weeks. But as far as an area of interest though, for me, again, this is going to be the area up here. And then of course, this internal high right back here as well. You'd really have to find acceptance though. I'm talking hourly closes above here to find acceptance above this, and then a pullback potentially for that push into that OTE, okay? So looking at gold now, let's wrap up here with XAUUSD, and gold right now, guys, is right back to where it was before, just putting in these higher highs and higher lows and really not giving us much of a pullback. So we kind of saw this coming, because you'll notice back here that off of this low, you can see that we got a perfect pullback here into OTE. So from this low down here up here to the high, you can see we pulled back right here into OTE before rallying. And then from there, that was really the last one. You look at this here from the low up here to this break of structure, right? So from the low down here to the BOS, and we came nowhere close to the OTE. Same thing here with this low back here, up here to the break of structure, came nowhere close to the OTE. We've just left single prints down here in this area, and now we're taking off and new all-time highs, okay? So for gold right now, obviously buyers are in control. You do not, in my opinion, want to be short in this market right now when it gets like this, okay? Now, with that said, looking here at the last external low, which if we look at the hourly time frame, I mean, you could technically make the case that it's back here because, again, we did form internal liquidity back here. I think that's a little bit of a stretch, and we did take it here and then a break of structure. A little bit of a stretch there, in my opinion, but that's what I'm going with for now. So off of this low up here to the high. Now, I'm by no means saying that we're going to come back here and tag the OTE, because I think, again, when gold gets like this, I don't think we're coming back here in this region, okay? But one thing I would watch for next week is that we do have this gap right back here. So if you'll notice that off of this close, okay, and this was obviously going into Christmas, so liquidity lighten up through here. And then if we look at this on the daily, you can see how it lines up here. Okay, so I think that for next week, I think if you're looking for buys, and you've got to be careful also buying against a trend like this or a candle like this as well, because there is an imbalance down here. But I think that if we're going to see gold do what it did back here, which it kind of looks like it's going to, right, then pullbacks could be very, very limited. Okay, so with that in mind, I think on the hourly, again, if you're looking for a buy down here, never financial advice, but this would be the pocket down here that I'd be watching to come back here and fill this gap following the holidays. Come back here, fill this area, and back here, get a potential change of character on the low time frames. And then from there, target the recent high, wherever that might be. Okay, so I think that's it for gold, guys. There's not a whole lot to say here for this market other than buyers are in complete control. I don't think that we are going to get a pullback down here into the OTE. Like I said, we could potentially get the market pulling back here into this breakout candle. Okay, so looking at this one back here, you had the high, you had the breakout here on this candle, and then you have this imbalance back here. That is a potential for gold. But again, a lot of times when you get breakouts like this, you do not see the market revisit it, especially in the case of gold. All right, so that's it for today's video. Again, potentially some relief for the dollar to start next week to fill in those imbalances that we saw. But for the most part, the trends continue. We've had some significant daily change of characters. So that's important to keep in mind as we roll into next week. As always, if you found this helpful, keep it locked in here, subscribe to the channel, trade well out there, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.